Okay. Megovanen, everyone, and I guess I just quickly want to give my thoughts on this whole Oblivion remake. I guess it's coming out by Virtuos, right? I thought it was Virtuoso, but I just recently read a comment from my good friend Grumpy Scamp, and he said Virtuous, right? So I got mixed up there. It's Virtuous. I've never heard of this company. I don't know if it's just an independent thing, um, or is it going to be are they just a mod group, kind of like King's Gath, right? Um, Although what he did say is like kind of like um, how do you put it? Like Fallout 3, Fallout 4 is Bethesda, and Obsidian uh, made Fallout New Vegas, and of course, you know, Obsidian from the upcoming Avowed. I know them, that company from Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. 2 is Deadfire, but kind of like that. So Virtuous is, I guess, an actual full company. I guess like how Obsidian is, not just a small thing. That's what I picked up from that statement. But he too doesn't know all that much. He said about it. So this footage we're watching, I remember seeing this back in the day, back when you know, poor internet connection, and you know, for me at least, and just bad quality, pretty much like what you're seeing it now, even though it's not all that bad. You know, maybe it's, I don't know, but just like this, it's, you know, this kind of quality. I remember also when Todd Howard was showcasing this. This is when everyone was still beloved, and everyone now hates Todd Howard and hates Blizzard, hates everything. Sure, maybe they fucked up along the way in certain things, but I never harbored any kind of full-on hatred and wishing them dead and wishing people dead, like how everyone seems to be wishing these things upon people and celebrities nowadays. Wyatt Russell, who portrayed Captain America, that's supposed to be the new Captain America, getting death threats. You know, Captain America, you're not Cap. How dare you, slanders? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to find out where you live and kill. And then wanting to, you know, to kill Amber Heard and microwave her and her baby and all these crazy things. That's the negative flip side of, you know, the internet, and the freedom to make all these comments and state your opinion. You make things not happen. You make things happen, but you make more things not happen. You know, sequels and certain kind of films and new ideas for a movie or series that get canceled even before it begins because of that. But anyways, getting back to this, I remember there's a part in here where he talked about the Iliad ruins, and he said, and they're usually guarded. And you see that everyone was just in awe, you know, at the E3, at the showcase of this. And me, when watching this, I also remember in Skyrim when that was being showcased, and they're trekking their way toward Riverwood, you know, after getting out of Helgen, right, that starter dungeon, and alongside to the left is that river, and everyone, the audience, is chanting water, water, water. So he stepped in the water for a few seconds or so and came out of it. Everyone cheered like they just wanted to see that. But what's great about this, I love the procedurally generated forests and the grass and everything. Yeah, it's so great. What I love is that now, okay, I will start off also by saying that Skyrim is my favorite of the Elder Scrolls games. To me, they just keep getting better with each iteration. You know, you have Arena, Daggerfall is much better than Arena. Then you got Morrowind, that is a better game and more polished game than Daggerfall. Oblivion, next, you know, and then now Skyrim. Although with that, seemingly like I guess really beginning with Morrowind, there are little things that they you know, kind of kill off with each iteration at the same time. They add things that do make it better, but also things that kind of not make it so great. So for example, with like Daggerfall, they felt like the NPCs were kind of flat. They didn't feel alive. The world didn't feel completely alive. So they kind of addressed that for Morrowind. So now the NPCs feel much more alive, but the world, although felt a bit more alive because of that, still felt, dead. So they tried to address that in Oblivion with the Radiant, AI, and have actual voiceover. But also they took things away too, like Daggerfall. You can have advantages, disadvantages, strength and weaknesses, and really tweak and customize every little detail about your character. In Morrowind, they got rid of that. You don't have weaknesses and strength, and you have that bar, that the difficulty bar that changes according to that. It makes leveling up faster, slower, and makes things harder or easier depending upon the ratio of advantages and disadvantages. Things like that. So they do add things, but also take away. So I just felt each iteration does get better, even despite that. The most polished, with Skyrim. What I did like about Oblivion is, well, first, okay, what I didn't like I'm sorry. See, I'm coming up with this, as it, goes along. With the NPCs, and the world is absolutely beautiful, as you can see. Oh, here's a part. And they're usually guarded.
They're often protected.
And they're often protected, right? Well, anyways, the NPCs and your character can look goofy, much like a potato, because of the way the character face generator, the program they use for that. It's so, like, you could say it's so robust and all of that, but it's really convoluted in a way, because it can really mess up your character with those sliders, right? Skyrim went for a more, like, you pick through a series of presets that they're already, shaped correctly, shaped nicely, and you just make changes to, like, the eyes and maybe the cheeks, but they're not so extreme, like how it was, with the sliders in Oblivion, that kind of thing. So the faces are already, pretty or beautiful to look at, to start, that kind of thing. But so that's a thing that makes it more polished in that part, as far as the NPCs are concerned and your character. What I love about Oblivion is because, and I've stated this before, I forgot what video, I think when I was doing another reaction for another game, but what I love is because Cyrodiil, I meant to say Cyrodiil, I think last time I said Skyrim, but Cyrodiil is the capital of Tamriel, and that's the place where all races from all parts of Tamriel, whether it's Hrothgarian Mountains or High Rock and elsewhere and everything, all parts come together. Morrowind, they all come together, and it's like the land of opportunity kind of thing. So it's almost like a equal amount of different races, much more diverse with different races in there. Whereas Skyrim is heavy on Nords, Morrowind's heavy on the Dunmer, and so forth. So that's what I do love, and also it had a good mix of, even though most of it is kind of like a summer weather, and lots of greens and trees. You get up more north, in the Jarrell Mountains, where Bruma is, and that's where it gets more like winter. I think down in the Leeuwin area, does it kind of begin to resemble like a fall kind of region, much like Skyrim, although I think it's much more pronounced, with the fall, and you don't really get the summer, but you get the fall and the heavy winter, when you start going more toward, Winterhold and Windhelm area, that kind of thing. But I love in Oblivion, I love that it's the capital, and it's a more diverse, and everything, all the races are, equal parts. So that's what I'm really, really looking forward to. The combat at the time, I found it to be, fine, but how was it? Where was I able to block independently? I think I was able to block independently in Oblivion, right? But it was kind of different how I think it was like left mouse button was for blocking for Skyrim and the right is for your weapon. So each button regulated that. I think for Oblivion, it was the left button to always attack, and if you just wanted to block, it was a separate button, right, or separate key that you had to press. But the combat felt more refined in Skyrim. Now I know that there's Skyblivion where it's just Oblivion with remade with the Skyrim engine. I think I'd much rather that because if it's just with Skyblivion reusing the Skyrim assets, the menu, not the menus, but the journal keeping is going to be very very light or not a lot of detail to it, right? Unlike how it was in Oblivion, it's like a whole journal that you can read, and same goes for Morrowind. So I felt that they skimped a little bit on the journal and record keeping when it comes to to Skyrim. But I thought it was great in Oblivion and especially in Morrowind. Those two were just absolutely great at the journal keeping. So that is why I'd rather that they keep the Oblivion engine because of that, but just kind of refine it and fine tune it. I don't want to make this too long. I just wanted to quickly give my thoughts on all of that. I heard that they're revamping and enhancing the combat experience and the way stealth works. I think at this moment it's just all hearsay, so maybe we're not absolutely sure, but I do hope that it becomes true what they're saying. All those things, you can look that up at the other videos, see what I'm talking about, what these changes are. But they're going to make, stealth much better. The UI is going to be much better. So let's just hope, they pretty much keep the essence and the flavor of what Oblivion is or was, and they just enhance that and bring it up to modern times, and of course modernize the controls, because it's a little, I tried playing it again even with the mods, but it's a little bit kind of weird to control. I'll still go back to it maybe every so often if I happen to get back to it before the supposed release date of June this year. Here's the Radiant AI. Now this is kind of funny. I felt the Radiant AI, even though it was glitchy, in Skyrim, it didn't feel as if they talked as much as this. I wish that somehow the way they made the AI in Skyrim and here, it met somewhere in between. I think that would have been perfect. I met a mud crab the other day.
Hello.
Nasty creatures. The way they talk.
characters
Sometimes
just learned a
they'll
new
talk
topic
to
based
each
on what
other,
they were talking
walk
about.
away,
I'm gonna ask him about
but
that.
because of something that happens in the world, maybe you interrupt or they didn't walk away far enough in time, they would quickly turn back around and speak to each other again. So it got a little bit awkward,
So now I have a
when
quest.
that would happen. But other than that, I think it was a good effort, and if they could somehow try to get it somewhere between this and the way they have it in Skyrim, I think the AI would be much closer to perfect. Also, I do love going to the Oblivion realm. I thought that was quite cool. Just don't try not to grind it too much, otherwise it can start to get boring. Just like anything, do it all in moderation. I thought the expansions and DLC for it, particularly the Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles, were excellent. So I'm looking forward to going back into all of that. I know there was a whole thing with the horse armor and how they were charging, but that's fine. That's like old news. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. At that time, I couldn't have my Xbox, connected to the internet, so I had to bring it over to a friend's house if ever I wanted to, download something. So for me, I was still excited to get that horse armor, and I love that. So, anyways, that is it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I don't know if anyone else is excited for this Oblivion remake. I am, of course, and that is all. Yeah. Okay.